Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Craig Cooke. He is an author and consultant for business and energetic practices. Welcome to the show, Craig.
Thank you, Ajay. I'm so honored to be here. I'm very happy, very excited. Thank you for having me today.
You are welcome to the show, Craig. You are welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk about. We will be talking about energetic practices for business success. So, my first question is to understand, Craig, is what are these energetic practices for business? Help us understand this, so that, businesses, especially small businesses, entrepreneurs, small business owners can utilize this and find success for themselves.
Sure, absolutely. So cultures from around the world have their ways of historically working with energy. Now, the system that I'm most familiar with is the Chinese system, Qigong. So with Qigong, it's working with our energetic anatomy, just like we have a physical anatomy. We also have an energetic anatomy that's inside of us. There's also aspects that surround us as well. I'm familiar with some aspects of the energetic practices from India, but really it's the Chinese Qigong, which has a martial, medical, and spiritual context or applications for. And that's what I'm most familiar with and what I practice, actually.
Right. Talking of Chinese practices, when did you come across these Chinese practices? Because I was looking at your profile, you were mostly connected with Rhythm Net. So I just want to understand a bit, in terms of if the audience wants to understand who exactly is Craig Cooke? Is he an entrepreneur now? Because you are now, looking at pursuing a doctorate of Chinese energy medicine. So let them understand who exactly is Craig in both these backgrounds.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you. Yes, I do many things, but your first question, I first came across Qigong when I started studying Chinese Kung Fu when I was 17 years of age. And I studied that for about 8 years, very diligently. And I was exposed to the martial Qigong, a little bit of the health and wellness Qigong as well, but most of it was martial. Now, when I was I started my company when I was 25, and it was a digital marketing agency. I started in the 20th century, a digital first company in 1996, and it evolved over time. And I actually based a lot of the principles I learned from Kung Fu to how I operated the company and my mindset, and et cetera. In 2014, I found myself just really not myself anymore. I was very out of balance and off-centered, and I was fortunate enough to come across a gentleman that knew the medical Qigong. So I went to him and had a great experience. And then over the course of 6 months, I started to feel much more centered and balanced from his work. And then he asked me at that time if I'd be interested in learning. And I said, yes, absolutely, like without hesitation. So starting in January 2015, I started studying medical Qigong. But yeah, I did that when I could because I was very busy running my company, juggling, family life as well. But I've been studying consistently for the past 9 years, and I actually even conduct energy medicine sessions with clients. I get about anywhere from 12 to 24 sessions a month of people coming in to see me for that energetic work. But moving forward here, I sold my company in 2019, had a successful exit, and then stayed on for 3 years as CEO, continuing to run the company. And then I left last year. So now I'm doing consulting, but now that I had more time available, I was able, fortunately, to enroll in this program, a doctorate program for Chinese energy medicine that's taught by a legend in the space, Dr. Jerry Allen Johnson. And this is the last time he's teaching this. So I was very fortunate to get in just in time. And that program will be finished up by August of next year.
Right, Craig. Before I come to the energetic practices for business success part, I want to understand how did you come to understand this term about digital first digital transformation in 96 itself? When there was hardly the internet was just coming into being.
That's right. Actually, those terms, digital first, digital transformation, they didn't exist back when I started the company. But that's exactly what we were doing. We were a digital first company, and we were doing digital transformation from day one. And the way it started was I had a passion for music. I'm a musician. Nowadays, I'm a rusty musician, but I played piano and guitar, and I had a passion for technology. And I had came across this CD-ROM at the time, right around 1995, that had all these musical artists on it, and I was like, "Wow, this is really interesting." And then one of my friends and I, we were getting together to play music and so forth, and I was learning about the internet, getting online through America Online, and then just one thing led to the next, a discussion, and it's like, "Well, let's create a company to market independent music online." So that's what we did, and then we evolved over time. But it was really the result of combining two passions, music and technology, to create something brand new. And I had started researching the internet and saw the potential of it. I was like, wow, this is going to be big. And it was just really going for it and diving in and just learning everything along the way, because it was so new, and everyone was learning at the time. There was only 30 million people worldwide online at the time. It was quite something.
Right, Craig. Now coming to the business success part using energetic practices, how does one get started? Suppose if it's a small business, and how do they get started with using these energetic practices? Is there a step by step to it? And uh, is it only for those people who are finding less time or are struggling with any particular issue that they can use these energetic practices, or is it that everyone can utilize it, even for those people who seem to have found success in their ways? Help us understand what are the use cases, as they say in today's terms,
Mm.
as well as in terms of using it as a step by step, so that people can actually, especially business owners, can use these best practices for business success, profitability, productivity, and anything that is possible.
Okay. Well, one, it really could be beneficial for everybody. It's universal. Again, cultures from around the world have their own ways of working with energy historically over the many centuries of existence. Now, when it comes to a business context, for me to describe how it benefited me and what it did for me, if I go back to 2014, when I told you about that experience, when I met the gentleman that provided those sessions, I really was just emotionally and mentally off-centered and off balance, much more stressed. And when you have stress that is just overwhelming, which it comes from the burden of responsibilities and obligations of managing employees, working with your clients, nurturing, maintaining those relationships, finding new relationships, making sure that there's enough sales revenue to pay all the expenses. All that's on your shoulders, and then also juggling anything outside of the business, like family. Right, I had a wife and kids, still do, and very blessed with my family. But all these pressures and obligations have a toll on the body, in the mind, in the spirit. And that's where these energetic practices come in and really help to regulate and balance you out through a variety of means. And I'll get to that in a second. But stress, when you have an undue amount of stress and you're not managing it, it really depletes your performance in a number of ways. One, you just get more tired. Two, your clarity of your thinking, just you're not as sharp. You're not able to really process information like you should. Is your decision making ability can be compromised. There's a lot of, even the relationships with others, when it comes to your team members, can be compromised as well, just because you can be less patient and just kind of more a short fuse, as we would say over here in America, where there's a temper that can come into play when it really is uncalled for, not necessary. So all these aspects detract from your performance. Now, if you can utilize energetic practices to get centered and balanced, then you can operate from that point of stillness and centeredness to be able to think more clearly, to make better decisions, to relate better to people. And that's not only team members, but clients and vendors, and then any relationships outside of work as well, because life is not just only work, right?
Right.
Yeah. So that clarity of mind, the calmness that comes in, the alleviation of stress, and just you're able to stay healthier. Your blood pressure, for example, come down. People have problems with blood pressure due to stress. That's a very common problem. And anxiety. A lot of people that come to see me, especially professional people, suffer from anxiety. And anxiety is stored in the heart center. And being that that's the most common thing I actually work with, it's amazing how these energetic practices can just really calm the heart and get rid of that anxiety. All these different emotions affect our different organs in the body. So if we're obsessive or impatient, that could be residing here in the spleen. This is all from a traditional Chinese medicine perspective. If there's fear, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to make payroll? Am I going to be able to pay my bills? Oh my gosh, that's like kidneys. And then the kidneys if those get depleted, it affects your vitality, which is your drive, your desire to move forward and advance in life. So if your kidney energy gets depleted, you get more just more tired and maybe just worn out in a sense. So there's all these different emotions that come in that these energetic practices can help get rid of all that negativity and help you, again, get more balanced and centered. And then your other part of your question is like the step-by-step processes. So there's all kinds of different styles and methods out there, not only with Chinese Qigong, but other modalities that are in existence from, again, various cultures. From the practice that I learned, one of the things that was really helpful in the beginning for me was this one particular exercise called 6-syllable healing sounds. And it's really meant to do 3 things, and that's to purge, tonify, and regulate the 5 yin organs, and then also this one organ system the Chinese recognize called the triple burner. So through the use of breathing, simple movements, integrating the mind, body, and breath, but also utilizing sound, because the sound purges and breaks up these energetic clusters that form that when we have these patterns of negative thinking, they cluster up, and the sound helps break those apart, and it creates space. And then there's visualization with the mind, imagination of where you're filling that empty space with light, specific colors of light that correspond to the different organ systems. And then the combination of the sound and the light helps to regulate as well. So that was one of the first things I learned that I could do on my own, because there is the actual energy work of sitting on a table and having someone work on me, just like I do with people these days. That's one thing. But then also there's work you can do on your own. And that was one of the exercises I did on a daily basis, take about 20 minutes. And then I'd also couple that up with meditation, just static sitting meditation, starting around 20 minutes or so. But I would work up to an hour, and sometimes I'd do 2 hours, just would depend. But that was kind of the main things. And then there's all kinds of other exercises you learn down the road. But those were the 2 main things. It's best to just keep it simple so that you can be disciplined and do it every day.
Right, Craig. In terms of, you have written this book called Business Kung Fu. So what is this book all about? And have you dealt this particular topic also in this book?
Thank you for asking. Yes, this is the cover, Business Kung Fu. So I do mention Qigong in the book, how it was a game changer for me in running my business, but I didn't get too much into it. This book is really more centered around how I applied what I learned in Chinese Kung Fu to running the company, how I structured it, how I went about it on a day-to-day basis, my mindset towards it. For example, building the foundation, discipline. There's a model I talked about called the 5 elements of entrepreneurship, which there's 5 elements in martial arts. There's also 5 elements in the medicine system, in the spiritual system. It's based on traditional Chinese 5-element theory. These 5 elements that I created based on that ancient theory, the 5 elements of entrepreneurship. The first one is passion. Passion leads to discipline. Discipline leads to expertise. Expertise leads to confidence. And then confidence leads to faith. And it's a cycle, and it builds upon itself, and you spiral upwards. But you can also go the other direction. You can spiral downwards if you just let negativity overcome you. And again, that's where these energetic practices can really help you maintain a balance of those elements.
Right. So there is much to learn from you about all these things, Craig. So what is the best way, for people to connect with you, to learn more from you, learn about your book, and also for those who would want to connect with you as clients?
Okay. So there's a number of ways to reach me. I have a website. It's c2pro.io. So that's the letter C and then squared, spelled out, pro.io. And then that has background on me. It also has a page on the book, and then it links over to Amazon. The book here is available on Amazon in paperback, hardcover, and Kindle format. I'm not sure how Amazon works as far as India goes. Maybe the Kindle version might be the easiest version. Right now, I just released it a month ago, so it's on sale for $2.99 American dollars for at least for another 2 or 3 weeks or so. But anyways, that might be the easiest way to get the book for your audience. I'm also on LinkedIn. That's a great spot to connect with me. That's where I like to keep, my professional relationships going. I do have a website for the energy medicine. It's C2, the letter C, the number 2, energymedicine.com. So that's the website that I use strictly for the energy medicine practice, because I'm working towards combining the two together. And there's a much more receptivity and an open-mindedness now, and I've seen in the past few years here in the States. So I'm working on that. So and I'm on Twitter and Instagram and so forth. But I'm through LinkedIn is a great spot, and my website's a great spot. And again, the book's on Amazon.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you so much. It was an honor to be here.